my name is Richard Nussbaum. I teach at VisArts. I'll be doing a small demonstration making a card holder box. I'll be demonstrating glass cutting, copper foiling, and assembling with a soldering iron. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Thank you so much for watching. All right, to begin, you're going to need a layout of what you're going to do. So I have a design of the front of the card holder and the sides and the back. Then you'll need paper patterns that represent these pieces, which we're going to cut the respective glass out of. As you can see, some of these pieces are cut. You pick up a paper pattern. We have glass over here that's been selected. This is for the sides, these are for the leaves. They're ready to go. And the tools, we have a running pliers. This is a glass cutter. It's the ones that we sort of use at the VisArts. And this is a running breaking pliers, grossing pliers. So once we select the pattern, we lay it down on the piece of glass. You can use a little glue stick to hold that pattern down on the glass. Once you have it pretty much where you want it, you line up the cutter with the edge of the paper, press down, and you're trying to get an even score following that line. Go from one end to the other. The running pliers should work on this. Snap it out of place. Okay, place the pattern back onto the glass where we had it. Follow the next line. Now this may not be good enough for this to break out, so I'll take this. Go up against the line, flat edge up, and pry down. Should break it on the line. Lay the paper back on, and we just got to cut this little end off. Okay, see that it matches the paper. Lay it down. Continue to cut the rest of the pieces. Let's say this little guy here. This we'll make out of the pink. So we make another cut inside of there. Break that out. If it doesn't break. Place the pattern. And we lay that back in there. Fits good. And now we would continue cutting all the pieces, but I've already cut some of them for this piece. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to copper foil. Some of these pieces have already been foiled. These were the pieces that I cut previously. These are the sides and the front side and the bottom to the box, and I'll be foiling them so you can see how it's done. Okay, so now you try to center the foil on the glass, press down, go around. Now this is extremely thin foil, but I mean width-wise, it's usually I use like 1/4 inch. It's easier to work with. Little, not as it's a little more forgiving than this very thin stuff, but this is what I have on hand. So you just sort of press it down so you get a lip on both sides. You try to get it as even as possible. This glass has ridges to it, so it goes in and out rather wildly. There we go. Press that down. And you do one side at a time. Press each side down so that the foil is in place. Then there's a tool called a fid. This happens to be a chopstick, and you just burnish the foil, press it down onto the glass, and as you press it in, you sort of roll this thing forward so that you're not pulling the foil away from the glass. And you'll see it just presses it right down into the surface of the glass. Now you do this with all the pieces on the panel. Once all the pieces are done, I'll show you how to assemble it. We're going to be doing a demonstration in soldering. We're going to be using this soldering iron, which is now hot, and we're going to solder this little thing together. Once we get it together, I'll go into the demonstration of how to assemble the box. With soldering, you always need flux. The solder will not take unless there is flux. I've secured the piece down to the size it should be for the box using these metal stays and push pins. Once it's been fluxed, the solder will take to it like so. And I will just run it on the surface. There we go. And the solder always follows the heat of the iron. If it gets too hot, it'll just melt through to the other side of the piece. Now, this is done. You just have to remove the stays. And we can take it out. You can see it's soldered together. And then we would just flux the other side and solder it. And we can do these edges too. Come back to that space later. If it gets too hot, like I said before, it just melts through. There's a little thing, just touch it, and we can sort of tin the edges, which means just running a little solder on the edges. Once you have it all tacked together, it's a fairly simple process. Just cover everything with flux, and these lines now that hold it together, we just go over them and run a bead on the surface. Okay, here we have a side bead. Here, here, and here. And And as you can see, the solder it's much easier than trying to fill in a gap where the solder is going to just run through. Okay, flip up here, get these sides. Okay, now we do the sides. That's exposed. I've turned off the iron so it's not as hot. So the solder kind of sticks a little better. Pick up little pieces here and there. And that's basically it. Box is assembled. Again, my name is Richard Nussbaum. Thank you for watching the video about how to make a card holder, a cell phone holder, little stained glass box. I hope you enjoyed. Please go to Facebook or Instagram, tag us, friend us, VisArts on those medias. We'd greatly appreciate it. You can also send pictures of anything that you've created. Again, thank you so much, and visit VisArts when we open again, please. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.